Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much to Biocrates for having me here today. It is very early here in the United States, currently in Colorado, hence why it's so dark here. And I'm really honored to come here and talk to you, not just about metabolomics. I've been in the field, as Bijan said, for almost 25 years, but to really talk to you about something even more important, which is about representation of South Asians in the mass spectrometry field, which honestly, across my career, in terms of a minority of people, has not really been represented. So, as Bijan said, we were founded almost a year ago in December 2023. So I'm here to talk to you about SAMS. And as I said, I'm the founder and the president of SAMS. So today I'm going to cover what SAMS is, how we were founded and why, what our core mission is, and some of our objectives. You'll get to meet the core SAMS team, which really is the driving power of why this community is working. And then I'll talk to you about some of the events that we've done over the past 11 months, including virtual meetings and webinars. And then I'm going to close out with a couple of sort of follow-ups. So SAMS's missions and objectives, as I said, throughout my career, has really been a struggle to be part of such a community. And I think I just caught the end of Gargi's talk there, which is the science is so impactful, and yet the visibility has just been so low. And I think it's just, a case of the times. And so over the course of my career, I've gone from being the only woman in the room in this space of science, the only person of color in a room, and especially even more difficult when I've had to move from Europe and living in the UK and London to then move into the United States. I'm a native English speaker, and even the cultural differences between the two countries were quite large to affect my career, both positively but also negatively. And so SAMS was really founded on the basis of building this inclusive community for South Asian professionals across the world in the space of mass spectrometry. And the goal was to really provide this dedicated platform to allow scientists within this community to exchange knowledge, to network, to collaborate, and really give visibility to the science, the great science that's conducted amongst us. Now, that wasn't just it's not just for the South Asian community, although we tackle those challenges and also the leveraging the strengths that we have that often are not talked about in our community, but also that word that I use right at the front, an inclusive community. So to really bring in friends of the South Asians in mass spec. So people who don't understand this culture, who don't understand working with South Asians, right? Using myself as an example, moving from the UK to the US, and being of Indian background and heritage, there were a lot of things that were really challenging to translate as I moved to a different country. And so there are strengths there, as I said, but also what I found out the hard way, some weaknesses that needed to be developed. And so we have established a robust network with fostering collaborations, with promoting diversity and inclusion, and with that, in turn, comes innovation. And we're trying to advance both professional and personal development. So this is the SAMS community. As I said, I'm the founder. I'm also the current president of the committee. And we have many other members that, as I said, my work is the least. I get to drive the vision and lead this amazing team, but they do all the hard work. This is why SAMS exists and why SAMS is doing what it does, right, for the South Asian community. And so Uma, who works at Thermo Fisher Scientific, really drives a lot of the organization and is our member at large. Prasanna is based on the West Coast, as is Uma, in the San Francisco Bay Area. She's at the Buck Institute for Aging, works with Birgit Schilling, if anybody knows her. She's the current secretary. Priya is currently, has just transitioned to a new role, also a member of the community, and in the early foundings, helped us get SAMS on its feet with Prasanna and Uma. A recent member that joined over the last 6 months, Adi, he's originally from 908 Devices, now at a new startup, and he drives our communications and a lot of our marketing efforts. So one of the flyers and sort of content that you see from SAMS, a lot of it comes from Adi. He's very creative. And then last but by no means least, Navneet Sahota. She's currently in transition of roles. She's from Punjab in India, like myself, and she sports a lot of the sort of back end that goes on within the SAMS committee, and she just joined in the last couple of months. So we started out with, as I said, in December 2023, one of the first things to really do was to go out and actually survey the community. It's great to set up a committee, an affinity group like SAMS, but it doesn't really mean anything if we don't serve your best interests, right? We have thoughts around what that might be, but until we surveyed the community, we really didn't know what issues that we had to tackle. So we sent out a very simple survey through a Google form. We shared it on our LinkedIn page. So if you're not on our LinkedIn page yet, please go and look up South Asians in Mass Spectrometry. There's a page. Please join. You'll get approved. And currently there's about 160 members worldwide. And we asked these simple 5 questions. And I just wanted to share briefly with you some of those results. So really what motivated and what motivates the community to join such a group. And the things that we heard about was really connecting with other South Asians, networking and collaborating. They're new to the field. They want to learn more about mass spec. They might have technical questions. They might be trying to grow their career. So they're trying to either share and be a mentor and give coaching, or they're trying to grow their career, transition into a new role, moving from academia to industry, going from middle management to senior leadership, or your early career, and you want to move to middle management. How do I make that transition? And ultimately, many of our members want to support and give back to the community. And that's especially where my drive comes from. As I said, such a group didn't exist through my career, and I'm very fortunate now to be in a position to give back. One of the other really insightful questions was around, how do they hope to participate, and what do they hope to achieve through the participation? They're clearly looking for something when they join this community. And so this is just a word cloud of some of the words that were shared with us around the fact that they faced a lot of challenges in the field of mass spectrometry. They were aware of some of these challenges. They wanted to make connections. They wanted a safe space to be vulnerable and share their weaknesses and talk about how they can improve on those weaknesses. They wanted insights to the industry that would allow them to grow both professionally and personally. Some of them were trying to find a mentor or a sponsor. And they wanted to learn about how to negotiate and so forth. So a lot of this feedback really gave us the feedback we were looking for around how we develop such a program and develop the tools that this community was looking for to be able to address some of these. Now, I'm not saying we address all of them, but in the 11 months that we've been here, we've done a pretty good job of doing that. And I'm going to share with you one more insight, and then I'm going to share with you how we've been tackling a lot of this feedback that was given in the survey. The last question that we asked was really around specific activities or initiatives that they would like to propose. we could sort of look through and see, do we even have the skill set or the team to be able to deliver this back to the SAMS community? And so, you can see it right up there. A lot of really familiar terms in the word cloud. They're really looking to network. They're looking for places to find their next career move. They wanted a place that was safe to be able to brainstorm. We have a WhatsApp group. I'll be sharing that a little bit later. We have over 100 members on that WhatsApp group, and I'll share the QR code for you to be able to join. And we share like job postings and, hey, does anybody know how to address this technical question? And it might be a proteomic scientist, or it might be a metabolomics scientist. And so a lot of the time, we tend to utilize that channel. There's a lot of scientists from Merck, from Amgen, from AbbVie, many scientists from industry. And a lot of them talk about how do I negotiate my next role? And how am I securing funding in my academic position? I'm a late-stage researcher. I'm trying to move into potentially a PI role. So these are some of the things that the SAMS community, when they took this survey, were looking to us, the committee, for. So how did we do? I want to run through a bunch of different events and seminars. I think we've done to date about 6 or 7 different events, both in person and also virtually. So one of the first things we did, I ended up setting up a chai meetup at US HUPO for those of you who were there. This was in Portland, in Oregon, on the West Coast. And so you can see a bunch of us actually met up, both, from any level, right? From bench level scientists all the way to, in the middle picture here, Vikas is the CEO of a company, and he's on both the LinkedIn SAMS group as well as the WhatsApp. So lots of people post questions. And so what I'm ultimately saying here is we have a diverse array of different people operating at different stages of their career in the South Asian community that are here to either give back through SAMS, or you're totally welcome to come in and take what you need from this group. So this was a great kickoff, as I said, in March this year. Our first virtual webinar was actually hosted in May, and I was the first speaker whilst we were developing the program to invite speakers. And the webinar was actually titled Knowing Your Worth. Really, it was to introduce the SAMS committee and really then walk through, how do I negotiate what my value is at work and both at home, personally, privately. But it was really about, how do I go find a mentor? How do I go find a sponsor? What is the difference between a mentor and a sponsor? How do I negotiate my salary? And compensation isn't just made up of a base salary. It could be made up of equity if you're in a startup, which means options. And it could be, if you're in a sales role, a commission-based role. So we did an hour. Those webinars that we do are 1 hour. We do a short presentation of about 15, 20 minutes, and the rest of the time is to take Q&A. So it was really open feedback from the community. The May webinar was about a few weeks run up into ASMS, which is the American Society for Mass Spectrometry. And we did, as a SAMS committee, apply for an in-person workshop. And so this was in Anaheim in California this year in June. And there were a number of different events that we held. We held a happy hour event. This is this large photo in the middle. There were about 25 participants that turned up. And it was a happy hour sponsored by Thermo Fisher Scientific. So we're very grateful to our sponsors. And again, a diverse range of scientists, both from academia and industry, both from bench level scientists to senior management were in the room. And so I know directly people were there looking for jobs. And so they came in, we networked them with the right people. In the room were Agilent, Bruker, SciEx, Thermo. So all the vendors were there. There were some startup companies, as well as some top scientific labs, core lab participants. The rest of the time, You can see us here networking at our actual workshop, which is this bottom left-hand corner. We have 65 participants. We had a keynote speaker, which was really a trailblazer in the field, Dr. Ravinder Singh from Mayo Clinic, who's heading up translational research there, a real sort of a thought leader in this space. And he gave the keynote about how he transitioned from India to the United States, what were the challenges he faced along his career, and how he's become this huge thought leader in the space, and now serves on committees and actually boards of companies. And thank you to SciEx for sponsoring that event. In August, we hosted a webinar. We had 3 great panelists that joined us. And the goal of this webinar was, again, feedback from our community around how do they make career transitions. So we brought an academic to the table, 2 very prominent figures in the pharmaceutical industry to the table to talk about how they transitioned from academia to industry. And then, one of them went from industry back into academia and then back again. So they each gave a 5-minute overview of their career journeys. And then we had a good 40 minutes of open Q&A with the SAMS members that joined to listen in. And there was great dialogue, great exchange between the panelists that you can see on the screen and our participants. By the way, all of these virtual webinars are recorded. Please do join our SAMS LinkedIn page. They're all up there and downloadable for free for you to listen at your leisure. Just last month, we were at the Metabolomics Association of North America, which is the national conference here in the US, and it was held in Tampa, Florida. Myself and Prasanna, who's the secretary, happened to be there in person. And again, sponsored by SciEx, we were able to hold an in-person meet and greet. So you can see us here. There are about 14 participants. And this was a much more sort of intimate event where we really went around the room and took questions from each of the participants around what were they facing, what was the biggest question top of mind, and how could we help them. And I'm pleased to say that we made actions in the room, at the table, at that dinner. And to me, that is just, it's an honor to be a part of that we're able to do this for such early career scientists that now have the advice, the connections that they need to be able to make that next step. A couple of weeks later, in October, from that face-to-face event, we held another webinar where we actually talked about unique career paths in the field of mass spectrometry. So when we think about mass spec, we immediately think scientists, we think of somebody in the lab. That is where I started my career, but I've not been in the lab for at least 15 years. I've grown my career as of these great thought leaders in the space. So we brought together industry professionals that have made the move from being a bench level scientist, maybe in the academic lab, moved into industry, grew their careers across many different commercial type roles, product management here, Naloni from Thermo, to various different roles. I work for 3 different companies right now, and I hold various different commercial and product strategy positions. So again, it was maybe a 20-minute presentation with about 40 minutes of questions from the community, and a lot of advice, a lot of exchange that was shared. And again, it's recorded and available on demand on our website. Just to finish up here, I can see I'm at time, but our next webinar is due in December. It's on December 12th. These are held at American, it's at 12 p.m. Eastern time. We do, and we have had people across Asia Pacific region join us. And I know it can be very difficult in terms of timing, hence why we record them so that you can go and access them whenever you would like. But we're proud to have Ashish Chaudhary, who is the founder, CTO, and CEO of Detect Ion. He's really looking to democratize mass spectrometry by building a handheld mass spec device. So he's going to be our next speaker. And really, he's there to talk about how he went from being an engineer to developing sort of different types of iron guides, quadrupoles, and he was working at SRI International, and how he ended up sort of spinning out his own company, and now he's the CEO. And so really, he's going to talk to us about his journey from being from going from the bench to being a founder, some of the strengths he utilized as being a South Asian. A lot of those strengths are not talked about, so he'll be there. Scan the QR code, please register, and would love to see you there if you can make it from a time zone perspective. And just to end, this is our WhatsApp group. Would love for you to join. As I said, we have almost 100 members. No question is big or small in that group, and would love you to come in and engage, share your experience, or completely, if you have something to ask, come and join it, and we're here ready to help. We are also looking for volunteers to help us run our regional chapters. So please reach out if you're willing to get involved. And on that note, I want to say thank you. Hand it back to the moderator, but really want to thank the SAMS committee. It would never happen without them, and also the community for engaging and giving us the feedback that we need to make this such a success. Thank you again.